Without wasting time, I'm going to be giving you the functions of all the labial structures. You must know it. What gave me the clue to put on this diagram the way it should be is because I was able to regionalize the structure of the eye from one layer to the other. There are three layers of the mammalian eye. The first layer is made up of just two main structures, which is the sclera and the cornea. The sclera gives this eye shape. It gives the proper shape of the eyeball and also gives protection to other underlying parts of the eye, but does not protect the cornea in front. The cornea is in front. The cornea is in front. So the sclera stops somewhere here. It protects the other part of the eye, but not the cornea. So what gives protection to the cornea is the conjunctiva. Okay, now moving inside this middle eye, we have another layer. Three layers are there. One is the ciliary body, the iris, and the choroid. The choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris. The choroid here is vascularized. It is well rich in vessels, supplying blood, nutrients, food to the eye. And now the ciliary body here, which is an extension of the choroid. The choroid, which is well supplied with blood, form a muscle here that suspend or protrude these parts of the eye or the choroid called the ciliary body. The function of the ciliary body is to anchor or to attach firmly the lens. The ciliary body attach this lens. The ciliary body attach the lens with the help of the what? Suspensory ligament. So what is suspensory ligament doing? The function of the suspensory ligament is to attach or anchor the lens on the ciliary body. Very important to know this. And again, the iris is another part of the middle eye from the ciliary body, the iris. And one thing you must know about the retina, which is the inner part of the eye, is that the pigment layer of the retina extends through the ciliary body and through narrowly pass and also extend to the iris, thereby making these parts of the eye, middle eye, and the choroid to be pigmented, to have that particular color, pigmented. So I can have this place shaded black, meaning that the retina has a pigment layer which extends through the ciliary body and the iris. The iris is a part of the eye that is well pigmented, and its function is to allow the more bending or refraction of light towards the eye diaphragm. The eye diaphragm is also known as the pupil. The pupil. It's through this pupil or hole that light in form of rays, light rays, enters the eye, and we are meant to be focused on the retina. So the pupil allows the passage or the entering of light into the eye. Most especially, you must know about this structure here, the conjunctiva. I've said it before. The conjunctiva protects the cornea, since the sclera protects other parts of the eye, but doesn't give protection to the cornea. The cornea is the most transparent part of the eye through which the light rays enters into the eyeball. Okay, and then there is a solution here that is being secreted by the ciliary muscle. That solution that fills this hole is called the aqueous humor. The aqueous humor. The aqueous humor also aids in the bending or refraction of light when it strikes the cornea. And then it is very important to know that in between the suspensory ligament that is holding firmly the lens. The lens ensures that the solution in the eyeball, which is the vitreous humor, does not mix with this aqueous humor. Aqueous humor is a solution of salts secreted from the what? Ciliary body, which at most time becomes drained into the canals of the blood. But as it is, the solution is being secreted, is being made or produced from the ciliary body. It assists in bending of light. Then the vitreous humor is a semi-solid that gives shape to the eyeball. The inner eyeball. The vitreous humor gives shape to the eyeball. And then the lens helps to separate the aqueous humor from the vitreous humor. It also helps in focusing light to fall on the retina. I've talked about the suspensory ligaments, which holds firmly the lens, or which attach the lens to the ciliary body, because the lens must get food, nutrient from this body, which is a choroid. Choroids supply blood to the iris, supply blood to the lens, as well as food. And then coming to the left-hand side of the diagram, we have the muscles that is holding firm the ciliary body, called the ciliary muscle. They are of two types: the circular ciliary muscle and the radial ciliary muscle. That two muscles, I will discuss it in details when I will be explaining the mechanism of sight, accommodation. And then the retina, which is the most important and sensitive part of the eye, forms the inner eye. The retina is made up of a pigment layer that pigments most of the parts of the inner eye, except the lens and the ciliary suspensory ligament, and a photoreceptive cell, which are rods and cones. The rods and cones are cells. The cones and rods are cells of the eye that act as transducers. What do I mean by transducers? Light going into the eye is going in form of electromagnetic wave. Light entering the eye is going in a straight line as electromagnetic wave. Once the light strikes the eye, the cornea helps to bend the light towards this hole. Light is refracted or bent to be able to enter the eye through the pupil. Once the light goes in, the lens also helps in further bending of the light, so that as this bending happens from this region, it keeps on bending as it enters the cornea, and this light were meant to fall on the rods and cones in form of that electromagnetic wave. So the lights that enter the eye stimulate. Once they fall on this retina, the rods and cones will be stimulated to convert that electromagnetic wave of lights into electrical impulses. And as soon as that happens, this part is very close to an optic nerve that will now transmit the electrical impulses away from the eyeball, leading from this part of the eye that is not sensitive to the blind spot. It is in the blind spot that these electrical impulses leave the eye to the central nervous system, which interprets the impulses and image are formed on the retina. Basically, these three parts of the eye, I would like to clearly show these three parts of the eye once again, starting from this part of the eye, these three parts of the eye, which first comprises of the inner layer. The inner layer is of two types. the types which is pigmented and the type which comprises of rods and cones. And the second layer is the vascularized layer, through which blood vessels supplying the eye. And these blood vessels are also bringing nutrients to the eye. So this sensitive part of the eye, which is rods and cone, gets food, nutrients, and well blood supply, because they are the most active part of the eye that needs energy that can be supplied to them from this choroid layer. And then the last layer of the eye is the sclera, that protects this part and this part, but does not protect this protruding part of the eye, which is the cornea. And one thing you must know about this eye is that when light enters the eye, this part of the inner eye, called the retina, absorbs light, making it difficult for light to reflect in the eyeball. So any individual whose eye is not pigmented, most likely we have to see that light will always be reflecting in the eyeball. But that is not the case, because the pigment part of the retina, which can be black, some can have it blue, brown, depending on genetic disposition of this pigment layer of the eye. Like I told you before, the pigment layer extends and also pigments the ciliary body and the iris. So the part of the iris also is pigmented, and the part of the choroid also is pigmented. The function of the choroid is to supply nutrients, food, because this layer are well vascularized. The lens helps to separate the two solutions of the eye, the aqueous humor from the vitreous humor. Remember that one can only see an object when light enters the eye as electromagnetic wave. But the light going in that form needs to be transduced. The transducers that convert this wave into impulses are called rods and then cones. These are two sensitive cells, the most important cell of the eye, that convert this wave to impulses, which are carried away from the eye through the blind spot by the optic nerve. The optic nerve moves these impulses away from the eye to the central nervous system, that is the brain, where these impulses are transmitted as image before these images are fall on the retina, as the case may be. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to share this video to friends and well wishers, and you follow the subscription button below, the bell below, click on it to get notification on more videos. Thank you for watching.